January 1st marks the start of the heavy hitter season. To feed a family for 12 months, you must prioritize alliums, onions 1, and leeks 2. These are not plant and forget crops. They are management heavy in the first 60 days. Start with onions. Forget onion sets from big box stores. Sets are often heat-treated to stay dormant, making them prone to bolting, and they offer a poor storage life. To eat onions in December, you must start from high-quality seeds now. First, identify your latitude. This is the most common failure point for U.S. gardeners. If you live north of the 35th parallel, you must buy long day varieties like Red Wing or Yellow Spanish. South of the 35th, you need short day like Texas Early Grano. This is non-negotiable. Onions trigger bulb formation based on daylight hours. Use deep 72-cell modular trays. Your soil mix must be 60% peat or cocoa coir, 30% perlite for drainage, and 10% worm castings for initial nutrients. Do not use garden soil. It is too heavy and contains pathogens that cause damping off. Sow 3 to 4 seeds per cell at a depth of 1/4 inch. Firm the soil down to ensure seed-to-soil contact. Use a heat mat to maintain a constant 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Germination should occur within 7 to 10 days. Once they emerge, light is your primary tool. Position high-output LED grow lights exactly 3 inches above the greens. If the light is too far, the necks will be thin and weak. When the seedlings reach 5 inches in height, take sterilized shears and trim the top 1.5 inches off. This haircut stops the plant from wasting energy on top-heavy foliage and forces the energy into the root system. Repeat this every time they hit 5 inches until transplanting. Leeks follow the same protocol, but require even deeper cells. Leeks are heavy feeders. Use a liquid seaweed or fish emulsion fertilizer at half strength, starting at week 4. Do this once every 14 days. These 2 crops are the flavor base for every meal you will cook next winter. For a family of 4 to be self-sufficient, you need at least 150 onions. Plant 200 to account for storage loss or small bulbs. To feed your family for an entire year, you cannot rely on mid-spring garden center starts. January is the deadline for crops with extreme germination and maturation cycles. We are focusing on peppers, 3, eggplants, 4, and celery, 5. In most U.S. growing zones, these crops fail to reach their full harvest potential because they are started too late. Let's start with peppers. For true self-sufficiency, you need a minimum of 20 plants. 15 sweet varieties, like Bell or Marconi, for freezing and roasting, and 5 hot varieties, like jalapeno or habanero, for dehydration and sauces. The number 1 reason for failure is temperature. Pepper seeds go dormant below 68 degrees Fahrenheit. You must use a professional heat mat. Set your thermostat to exactly 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 degrees Celsius. Use a sterile, soilless seed starting mix. 70% peat or cocoa coir and 30% perlite. Sow seeds a 1/4 inch deep. Peppers can take up to 21 days to emerge, so do not give up on them. Once the hooks appear, remove the humidity dome immediately and provides 16 hours of high-intensity LED light. Keep the lights 2 to 4 inches from the foliage to prevent leggy, weak stems that will snap under the weight of summer fruit. Eggplants are even more temperature sensitive. They suffer from transplant shock more than any other nightshade. To ensure a harvest that lasts through fall, sow them directly into 3-inch individual pots rather than flat trays. This prevents root disturbance later on. Eggplants require rich conditions, but start them in a light mix to encourage rapid root expansion. For U.S. growers, flea beetles are the primary threat in the field. Your goal in January is to grow a robust, woody stem that can survive early spring pests. If your grow room is cool, wrap your shelving unit in clear plastic to create a microclimate that traps the heat from your seedling mats. Celery is the marathon runner of the garden. It provides the base for your winter stocks, soups, and mirepoix, but it requires 130 to 150 days to reach maturity. The secret to celery is light dependency. Unlike peppers, celery seeds must not be covered with soil. Broadcast them on the surface of a finely screened starting mix and press them down firmly. They need direct light exposure to break dormancy. Use a misting bottle only. Pouring water from a can will bury the seeds too deep and kill them. Target a temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. For a family of 4, you need 40 stalks. This sounds like a lot, but once dehydrated or frozen, this is the exact amount needed to bridge the gap until the following year's harvest. Finally, prioritize airflow. Indoor humidity in January causes damping off, a fungal disease that kills seedlings at the soil line. Position a small oscillating fan near your trays. This constant air movement does 2 things. It prevents mold and it stresses the plant tissue, forcing the stems to grow thicker and stronger. This mechanical stress prepares them for the winds they will face in the open garden. Water from the bottom only. Fill your bottom trays with 1 inch of water and let the pots wicking it up for 20 minutes, then pour off the excess. This forces the roots to grow downward toward the moisture, creating a massive root ball. Brassicas are the foundation of a self-sufficient winter pantry. In January, you must start broccoli, 6, cauliflower, 7, cabbage, 8, kale, 9, and Brussels sprouts, 10. For the American gardener, the challenge is the spring heat spike. If these crops aren't large enough to handle the sun by May, they will bolt, turn bitter, and become useless. You win this battle in January. Start with your tray selection. Use 72-cell heavy-duty seedling trays. Brassicas grow aggressive root systems quickly. Smaller cells will lead to root binding within 4 weeks, causing permanent stunting. Use a high-quality germination mix. Sow 2 seeds per cell at a depth of 1/2 inch. Keep the soil temperature at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius for germination. As soon as the first green loop breaks the surface, drop the ambient temperature to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. Brassicas grown in high heat become leggy, long, weak stems that cannot support the heavy heads of cabbage or broccoli later in the season. Lighting is your most critical variable. In January, the sun is too weak. You need artificial light for 14 to 16 hours a day. Position your LED or T5 shop lights exactly 2 inches, 5 centimeters, above the seedlings. If the light is 6 inches away, the plants will stretch and fail. As the plants grow, move the lights up daily to maintain that 2-inch gap. This is the only way to produce the thick, purple-tinged stems that signify a healthy brassica. For cabbage, choose storage varieties like Late Flat Dutch or Brunswick. These are bred with tighter leaf structures to last 6 months in a root cellar. To feed a family of 4, plant 40 heads, 20 for fresh use and sauerkraut, and 20 for long-term storage. For broccoli, focus on Waltham 29 or Belstar. You need 10 plants per person. To maximize yield, harvest the main head early. This triggers the plant to produce side shoots, providing a continuous food source for an additional 4 weeks. Cauliflower is the most temperamental. It requires a steady temperature. Any major fluctuation now will result in buttoning, where the plant produces a tiny marble-sized head. Keep your cauliflower starts in a dedicated area where the temperature never fluctuates more than 10 degrees. Kale is your insurance policy. It is nearly indestructible. Sow lacinato or curly kale now. These will be your first harvestable greens in early spring, filling the hungry gap when winter stores run low. Finally, Brussels sprouts. This is the longest maturing crop in your garden, often taking 180 days. If you don't start them in January, they will not have enough time to develop firm sprouts before the hard freezes of next winter. They require high nitrogen. At week 3, begin a feeding regimen of high nitrogen organic liquid fertilizer at 25% strength. If the lower leaves turn yellow, increase the frequency. By late February, these plants should be 6 inches tall and ready for the hardening off process. Do not rush the transplant. Wait until the soil temperature in your garden reaches at least 45 degrees Fahrenheit. January is the month to build your food bridge. While your indoor seedlings are growing, you must start your cold hardy staples. Spinach, 11, lettuce, 12, carrots, 13, and beets, 14. These crops are the first you will harvest in spring, filling the gap when your winter preserves run low. In most U.S. zones, these can be started now under low tunnels or in cold frames. Spinach is the ultimate survival green. It thrives in soil temperatures as low as 35 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Celsius. Unlike other crops, spinach seeds struggle to germinate once the soil hits 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So January is your window of opportunity. Sow Bloomsdale long-standing or giant noble varieties. Space them in rows 6 inches apart. Plant a 10-foot row every 2 weeks throughout January and February. This succession planting ensures you aren't overwhelmed by 50 pounds of spinach at once. Cover the soil with a heavy layer of straw or a frost blanket if a polar vortex is predicted. Lettuce requires a different approach. For a family of 4, you need 8 to 10 heads of lettuce per week. Start these in soil blocks or shallow flats indoors first. Like celery, lettuce seeds need light to germinate. Do not bury them. Surface sow and press them into the damp mix. Maintain a cool environment. 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius is ideal. If they get too hot, the seeds will enter thermal dormancy and refuse to sprout. Move them to a cold frame as soon as they have 2 true leaves. They can survive a light freeze, which actually makes the leaves sweeter by converting starches into sugars. Now, let's talk roots. Carrots are the backbone of the winter pantry. To feed a family for a year, you need 300 to 500 carrots. In January, focus on knots or Danvers half-long varieties, which handle cold soil better than Imperator types. Soil preparation is everything. If your soil is heavy clay, you must mix in 30% coarse sand. Carrots will fork or stunt if they hit a rock or hard clump. Sow seeds 1/4 inch deep. Here is the professional secret. Carrot seeds take 14 to 21 days to germinate in winter. To prevent the soil from crusting over and trapping the seeds, cover the row with a piece of wet burlap or a thin wooden board. Check daily. The moment you see green, remove the cover. This maintains 100% humidity at the seed level. Beets are your dual-purpose crop. You eat the greens in April and the roots in June. Beet seeds are actually clusters of 2 to 4 embryos. To ensure even growth, soak your beet seeds in warm water for 4 to 6 hours before planting. This softens the outer husk. Plant them 1 inch deep and 3 inches apart. Because they are clusters, you must thin them. When they are 2 inches tall, use scissors to snip out the smaller plants, leaving only 1 per spot. For long-term storage, Detroit Dark Red is the gold standard for canning and pickling. To protect these 4 crops from the harsh January winds, use low tunnels. Buy half-inch PVC or galvanized wire hoops and cover them with 6 mil greenhouse plastic. This creates a greenhouse effect that raises the soil temperature by 10 to 15 degrees. On sunny days, you must vent the tunnels by cracking the ends open. If the internal temp hits 80 degrees Fahrenheit, your spinach and lettuce will bolt and die. Precision monitoring is the difference between a harvest and a total loss. To achieve true food security and stop relying on grocery store produce, you must master the 2 highest yielding crops for home growers: peas, 15, and potatoes, 16. In January, the goal is not just planting, but priming these crops for an accelerated spring explosion. Let's start with peas. Most gardeners wait until the traditional St. Patrick's Day deadline in March. In the United States, that is often too late. As spring temperatures spike earlier each year, peas frequently wither before they can finish their second flush. You must start in January using the gutter method. Buy standard 10-foot PVC rain gutters. Drill drainage holes every 6 inches. Fill them with a high-quality, pre-moistened seed starting mix. Sow your pea seeds, both shelling for canning and sugar snap for fresh eating, in a zigzag pattern 2 inches apart. Keep these gutters in an unheated garage, porch, or cold frame. Peas are remarkably cold tolerant. They just need to stay above 35 degrees Fahrenheit to germinate. This method prevents the seeds from rotting in the cold, oversaturated soil of early spring. By mid-February, you will have a solid 10-foot ribbon of pea plants. When the soil is workable, you simply dig a shallow trench and slide the entire strip of plants into the ground. This gives you a 3-week head start on everyone else. For a family of 4, aim for 60 to 80 linear feet of peas to ensure enough for both fresh consumption and long-term freezing. Use a rhizobia inoculant powder on the seeds before sowing to maximize nitrogen fixation and increase your yield by up to 20%. Next is the calorie king, potatoes. To feed a family for a year, you need roughly 100 pounds of tubers per person. This means you need to plant at least 40 to 50 pounds of seed potatoes. In January, your primary task is chitting, pre-sprouting. Never use potatoes from the supermarket. They are often treated with sprout-suppressing chemicals like chlorprofam and may carry diseases that will ruin your soil for years. Purchase certified, disease-free seed potatoes from a reputable U.S. supplier. Place your seed potatoes in egg cartons or open wooden crates with the eyes, the small buds, facing upward. Move them into a cool, bright room with a temperature around 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. Do not put them in the dark. Exposure to light triggers the production of short, thick, dark green or purple sprouts that are incredibly hardy. If you sprout them in the dark, you get long, white, brittle, etiolated stems that will snap off during planting. This chitting process wakes the potato up from its winter dormancy. When you finally put them in the ground in late February or March, they will emerge from the soil 10 to 14 days faster than unchitted tubers. This is vital for main crop varieties like Russet Burbank or Kennebec, which need a long season to develop the thick skins required for winter storage. For your early summer harvest, use Yukon Gold or Red Pontiac. Prepare your potato beds now by broad forking the soil to a depth of 12 inches. Do not till if the soil is wet. Wait for it to crumble. Secure your mulching materials today, whether it's clean straw, shredded leaves, or wood chips. You will need a 6-inch layer of hilling material to cover the stems as they grow. This protects the developing tubers from sunlight, which causes greening and the production of toxic solanine. January is the month of preparation. If you have your peas in gutters and your potatoes in crates by January 20th, you have already secured 40% of your family's annual calorie needs. The final crop for your January list is asparagus, 17. This is a 20-year investment in your family's food security. Plant dormant crowns in January as soon as the soil can be worked. Dig a trench 12 inches deep and 12 inches wide. Mix 2 inches of aged compost and a handful of bone meal into the bottom. Space the crowns 18 inches apart. Spread the roots out like an octopus. Cover with only 2 inches of soil. As the spears emerge in spring, continue filling the trench until it is level. Do not harvest for the first 2 years. This builds a root system that will feed you for decades. Success in January is about your roadmap. Follow this schedule. Week 1, alliums. Week 2, nightshades and celery. Week 3, brassicas. Week 4, potatoes and hardy greens. If a seed tray fails, do not panic. Re-sow immediately. Starting now gives you a time buffer that spring gardeners don't have. Use a garden journal. Record every germination date, soil temperature, and light height. This data is your most valuable tool for next year. A self-sufficient homestead is won in the cold months, not the warm ones. The effort you put in today determines what your table looks like next December. Stop planning and start planting.